We saw an absolutely behemoth flush, specifically within the stock markets, and that has, of course, affected crypto as well. This has been one of the biggest liquidation events specifically within the stock market since what we saw all the way back in 2020 with the COVID lockdowns and the pandemic, right? So we can see, of course, crypto taking a massive drop, but what we did see leading around that pandemic period previously was a massive resurgence from the altcoin sector leading into the 2021 parabolic advancement. So the question is, will history repeat? Will we still have that opportunity, or is this cycle coming to its end very, very early, much earlier than the prior cycles? Well, we're actually running a poll right now. You can go into the comment section and you can vote up there. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that this crypto cycle is ending early? Yes, no, or are you undecided? Vote up there. Smash the like button as well. Hit the bell notification and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of major things we have to discuss in today's show, and whether this does change everything for the overall crypto market. So big flash over there. You can see most of the coins down, of course, on the daily, weeklies as well, fully reset. Monthlies, however, are still holding up. And when you look at the monthly charts, actually, there is actually going to be a lot of opportunities coming into key levels, testing those previous order blocks, which are bullish resets, at least for the monthly scale. But we'll talk about that in a moment, right? So huge liquidations, $1.8 trillion wiped out of the S&P 500. That is absolutely huge. That's basically like wiping out the entire crypto market from current levels, basically sending it straight to zero. Huge flash. And of course, that's got to do with the FOMC that came out yesterday, right? Long story short, basically they did the 25 basis point cut, which was exactly as was expected and priced in. But the difference was that it was a hawkish meeting, meaning that Jerome Powell was, pretty aggressive on his stance, and he basically came out and said there's not going to be 4 rate cuts next year, but only 2. And because of that, the market obviously puked, right? A lot of buyers recently, which had stepped into the market, meaning that when prices go down, there's not any new buyers because they're already all bought, right? And that's basically what we saw within the markets over there. Big flashes over there. Crypto markets coming down as well. Almost $1 billion worth of liquidity taken, 659 million from the long side. So not quite as big as what we previously saw, where we had this spike over here, which was about $1.7 billion. That was large on the crypto scale. So this is still a smaller flush in that regard. And I think that's got a lot to do with because the crypto front ran this and already flushed a lot of the participants out and making them reluctant to jump back in. So in today's show, we're going to have a look at, the things that I'm looking at to determine where the cycle does actually come towards its end. I know a lot of people are thinking, maybe it's all over. Maybe this is the end of the cycle. Maybe this is the diminishing returns effect, and Bitcoin was going to top out at 110K-ish level, and that's the end of the story. See you back here in 4 years, right? We'll talk about if that is the case and whether there is ever going to be any sort of an altcoin season like we saw back in 2017, like we saw in 2021. Will we get a repeat of that? Are we following the cycle in the same way, or have we completely deviated off the path to the point that it's all over, right? Let me know in the comments what you think. Also vote on that poll. I'd absolutely love to know your guys' thoughts, and let's continue, right? So first and foremost, I did cover yesterday the bearish divergence taking place on the daily triple bearish divergence. We rejected from that key level, but at the end of the day, you are still holding up at those support levels, the 9 and the 18 exponential moving average, bouncing off of the 18, and theoretically, Bitcoin is still holding up. So we'll talk about what needs to happen next in order to survive the next downfall, if there is going to be another one. We'll have a look at the stock market over here, which you can see has come into clear support. At the end of the day, remember the saying, the trend is your friend until the end of that trend. And so far, that trend is definitely still towards the upside, putting in those high highs and high lows, right? This is just a sudden flush towards the downside, basically flushing out late longs, and it's come back into key support. There is further support down if you do happen to have a short-term bounce and lead further down. Your next level for the S&P 500 futures chart is going to come in at about 5,700, right? That's also got your 200-day moving average, which is rising currently, which is going to be additional support. We have the NASDAQ over here as well, sudden flush towards the downside, finding short-term support over there. Your next major support is coming in at 500, and then you have your 200 MA also rising over there in case there is a series of lower highs and you do go in for a deeper correction. Dow Jones was looking really bad already yesterday, the way prices were grinding down into these lows, whereas you had the NASDAQ and of course the S&P 500 up here. But nevertheless, you lost your first area of interim support. Now you're coming to your next major support. The major support over here on the daily does line up with more confluence on the Dow Jones compared to what you're seeing on the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. That confluence coming in the form of the 200 MA meeting up with that horizontal, and that level is coming in at 41,000, right? 41,300 to be precise. So ultimately looking for those levels to hold, looking for higher lows over there. You are on higher low watch now, and then the question is, do you set in a lower high? If you do set in a lower high, then you are of course going in for a deeper correction, and then things do actually start to change. Coinbase over here also coming into support. It looks very, very similar to the Ethereum chart. I still think for anyone that wants altcoin exposure, you know, this is kind of the area where you theoretically be looking to bid, as long as you don't get closing candles coming in below that 265, at which point you then may be deviating back into the old trading range. And that means you could open up the possibility of going back towards 200 on Coinbase, right? So keep an eye out on that. Now, if we look over here at the Fed balance sheet, the biggest news out of all of this is basically we wanted to see what happens with that FOMC statement. Are they going to be essentially changing their stance over here in terms of what the committee is doing with their assets, right? So all of the committee reports have said this. It says the committee will continue reducing its holdings of treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities. The key phrase that we're looking for over there is a pivot away from this, and we're looking for them to say that the committee will now start adding to its holdings of treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities. And then we should see that happen on this chart over here in the form of a massive uptick, right? So if you look at previously, well, the first cycle was relatively flat. That was a more stable environment for the markets. This one led into, of course, the pandemic. And if you overlay and underneath that, of course, we've got the Bitcoin chart over here. And then we have total 2, which is the altcoin sector divided by Bitcoin to measure the ratio between Bitcoin and of course, the altcoin market sector. And we saw that there was an uptick, right, when you got this period over here. So if you zoom in a little bit further, I can probably better show it on this one. You can see there's been a massive slowdown at the very least, right? So yes, they haven't changed their terminology fully. They haven't changed their stance. We're still getting the same messaging from the Fed over here. But at the end of the day, we have seen an actual notable change and slowdown from what was previously an aggressive downtrend. So we'll see if they can continue to maintain this, or if it's going to drop over one more time, right? When this starts to turn back towards the upside, that is typically what coincided with your prior altcoin seasons, right? So we want to keep an eye out on that with regards to what the Fed's doing. What this means now is because they didn't change the terminology, they haven't started to buy back yet. It simply means that maybe it's just going to be at the next meeting, which I think is coming sometime in January. So you got to delay it a little bit, kick the can down the road for the altcoin sector just a little bit longer. At the end of the day, there are still many altcoins that are coming into very key supports. For those who missed out, about a month ago, well, you're getting given a second chance, a second opportunity. I'm going to talk about in today's show what would flip me fully bearish and what would make me exit the market completely. So stay tuned until the very, very end of that, right? Of the end of the show. So what does it mean when it comes to the Fed? Well, just quick summary over here from Virtual Bacon. FOMC summary: no balance sheet pivot. Fed still selling assets. Money printer not in no injective liquidity yet, right? They're not putting that money printer on when they start to buy back assets. Usually that means the money printer is coming back on. And Powell shifts to signal slow rate cuts in 2025. Short-term panic, right? Of course, as we saw, due to uninformed investors, people that aren't sure how markets work, basically just panicking out because they were late buyers. People that know what's going on in markets were early buyers entering in, 2 to 3 years ago. Long-term bullish. He says, we need slower rate cuts to signal delayed recession. Fast cuts are bad. Inflation will still be high, which is actually good for risk on assets because when inflation is high, your money devalues very, very quickly. And that money tends to flow into hard assets, right? Like Bitcoin, like property, etc., and gold, right? And then consequently, you see the spillover effect leading into risk on assets. So basically, there's your little bit of your first tidbit of bullish hopium. If you wanted your hopium dealer, he's here today, right? A little bit of hopium for you today. Let's have a look at a couple of other things. Now, this has been a long-term plan, a long-term trajectory that we've been outlining ever since the lows over here where we broke back into the trading range. This was basically the candle that broke the camel's back, the bears, right? And got us long into the market. And what I've outlined over here is we've been paying a lot of attention to these specific timing factors. And I'm not going to get into the details of how I found all of these timing factors, but to make a long story short, we're looking for a final major cycle top anywhere between about August and November 2025, with the best pinpoint timeline coming in somewhere around October, right? Now, I did say based on how fast Bitcoin is moving up, it means that there will need to be some sort of a major correction at some point before that October time period occurs to set in yet another macro high or low, and then you can finish the cycle off into that time period. And if that were to take place, my best case scenario is that you see continuation of price action rallying up into possibly March, set in a local top in March, and then you have some sort of a sell in May and go away that gets priced in advance, right? So probably towards the end of March, sometime in March, you start to see prices coming down, and then you lead into sell in May, go away, panic into June, July, and then you start to put in that macro high low. So ultimately you would have lows, macro high low, yet another macro high low, and then you finish the cycle off over here. So we'll have a look at the things that I'm paying attention to, and basically where I'm going to be looking to start to scale out of the market. Now, keep in mind, I am planning on scaling out of the market early, way before we get to this particular time period over here. And part of the reason is, well, there's a few reasons why. Firstly, my entire life is leveraged into crypto because I am a crypto YouTuber who runs a crypto business. And therefore, if I'm wrong and prices end up topping early and I took no profits, I'm going to get triple wrecked, right? I'm going to get wrecked, of course, on YouTube. I'm going to get wrecked on my crypto business, and I'm going to get wrecked on my own portfolio. So for me, it makes total sense that leading into this next uptick zone, which I'm going to show you now what that looks like, I do take profits. And then in the event that this does play out, or we do put in that macro high low, all the cards are going to be on the table where I now have the opportunity to re-enter over here for possibly a quick 3 to 5x gain leading into the end of the cycle. Or I can just sit on the sidelines and, just continue to let the crypto business do well while the crypto bull market is on, right? So these are some of the things that I'm looking at, and these are going to be the factors that I'm looking at. What is going to determine where I believe we're starting to get into a really heated zone and I should start to take the chips off the table? And the question is, have we seen those signs and symptoms yet? Have we seen those things take place? Well, we've seen a little bit of it, but not enough of it yet. So let's go through the list of things I'm watching. First and foremost, I want to see YouTube views take out 2021 highs on these major crypto channels. We haven't seen that yet, right? You can see currently we've been hovering and struggling to break through 2 million views per day across all of these various different channels, whereas the prior top was around 4 million views per day. And you can say that was a big spike, right? That was the exact cycle top. Let's just say sustainably holding above 3 million views per day was a major signal, right? That things are overheated. So at the very least, I'm looking to take that out in a sustainable kind of way, where we want to hold above that 3 million for quite some time. That's step number one, right? And this is, I'm talking about a major exit from the market. This is the point in time where I start to take a little bit of profit off the table. As it currently remains, we've been in the market from the lows and we've remained 100% invested since those lows. And I've been very reluctant to add any new capital into the market, given the way things are getting a little bit overheated, right? The other thing that I'm looking at over here is the daily exchange volume with the 7-day moving average. Same story as the YouTube views. I want to see those 2021 highs taken out. Now, given that operation choke point 2.0, 3.0, etc., has cooled off given the Trump administration coming in, which is more crypto friendly, I would expect that there should be even more money coming into exchanges, etc., in the form of inflows. And due to those inflows, this daily exchange volume should very easily completely eclipse and engulf what we saw in 2021. We should completely dwarf this level over here. And therefore, that's another sign and symptom that I'm looking for. I want to see the daily exchange volume take out those 2021 highs, meaning it needs to break above 150 billion before I start to get a little bit scared, right? That's the first thing. So we got the YouTube views, we got that as well. The second thing, we got the exchange volume. The other thing that I'm looking at is a very similar metric, is we're looking for the aggregate funding rate due to much more exchanges being out, many more people opening up to crypto. We want to see that level get taken out at 0.1129 on the weekly scale. This shows a very heated environment where absolutely everybody is levered up and long on the market. Nobody thinks that prices are going down at all. It's an up-only environment. And that's the other thing that I'm waiting for. So that's the third thing, right? We're nowhere near there. In fact, we're actually about 90% down. We can actually measure this out using a ruler. So let's quickly go through with the ruler. We're almost 90%, 89% down from those ultimate highs. And we don't have to take the Pico top, right? We can look at the average of those candles even. And even if you go from the average over there, where the majority of those prior candles hit, 88% down, things can get really heated. You can see a lot more. So we got YouTube views, we got volume, we got the aggregate funding rate, which is nowhere near the highs. And then the other thing that I'm looking at is both ETH BTC as well as the Ethereum chart. The very second that Ethereum starts to take out these highs, I position from risk on into cautiously bullish, right? This is not an environment where you take out the prior all-time highs, that price suddenly just, peeks its head in a small way above and then nukes, right? You're not going to expect that, right? That's not going to happen. What would happen is probably your spike above consolidate, and then you lead into the real exciting times. Once Ethereum crosses that $5,000 mark and holds multiple candles above, I expect all of these metrics to start to heat up very, very quickly. So the YouTube views, the daily exchange volume, the leverage should come back in a big way. And this is the point in time where I'm starting to position to look to exit some of the chips off of the table. As you can see, we're not there yet, right? So am I bearish right now? Am I exiting the market? Absolutely not. I'm not exiting the market. The same thing is true when you look at the ETH BTC pair, which is bottoming out, right? We're waiting still for that reversal. So like ETH trading above this $5,000 mark, I'm looking for ETH BTC to start to break out of this falling wedge over here. And the second that starts to happen, I start to initiate my plan of how to start to scale out of the market. Keyword, right? Scale out of the market. I'm not sitting there with 100% of my portfolio on market sell and just tapping the sell button. That's not how this works, right? This is a planned system where I will incrementally scale out bit by bit over this time period, right? Just to be clear. Okay, now why do we still believe that all of this is going to play out towards the upside? Why do we believe that ETH is going to take out those levels and this is just a short-term consolidation pre the next breakout? Well, obviously, because we can look at things like this, right? We can look at Ethereum's quarterly returns, which we've spoken about are best in Q1 and one of the worst in Q4, right? So we've seen that time period of where the laggard is now about to play catch up, and we're expecting that Ethereum should catch up to those Bitcoin gains. And we spoke specifically about what happens in a post-halving year, which would have been similar to, for example, 2017, 2021, and now 2025, right? Those are the time periods that we're looking at specifically for Ethereum. And if you do look at those time periods leading into, of course, January, February and March in Q1. Look at 2017. Again, the 2025 is going to be the same year cyclically as what we saw in 2017 and 2021. 2017, what did you see over here? Well, extreme bullishness, 31%, 48%, 214% for ETH. Let's go to 2021, 78%, 8%, and 34%. And we're still waiting. 2025, January, February, March is the story that still needs to be told, right? We haven't got to that point in time yet. We're still waiting for it. So the expectation is that we should see that take place. And again, that should spike the YouTube views. That should increase the 7-day daily exchange volume. And that should drive up the leverage, making people greedy, making people confident that, we're just at the start of the bull run. Whereas the majority of you guys know and understand that we've been doing this for a couple of years now. We've been long ever since the exact cycle lows. And we know better, right? We know that instead you are coming towards the end of the cycle. We'll talk about how far we are through the cycle very, very soon in terms of a percentage, right? So other things to have a look at over here, well, you can, of course, see total 3, right? We got total 3. Once we start to break and hold above this high over here at 1.23 trillion, which we're getting close to, that shows you altcoins are doing very, very well. And then you're looking for massive expansion beyond that point. And then it's just a matter of how much profit are you taking, right? A bit of profit taking there, a bit over there, a bit over there. And we'll just continue to monitor the trend as this expands towards the upside, taking some of those chips off the table, right? If we look at others, same thing, right? Others is also going to do the same thing. We're waiting to take out those highs. Once we do start to take out those highs, this should all happen simultaneously with ETH breaking above $5,000, as well as the rest of the metrics that we've been looking at over there. So We have Bitcoin dominance as well. We can't forget about Bitcoin dominance. Understand when Bitcoin dominance breaks down, it can happen in a very, very quick way, right? So if it follows this trajectory, I'm not saying it will, right? You can extend these things a bit. I'm just giving a general trajectory. We've seen the very, very start of the break of the rising wedge, which is a bearish chart pattern. We hit all the key levels that we're looking for. I'm not going to get into the details. Go back on all the previous videos from when price was trading up here back in November, around, what was it, November the 23rd, and what we're speaking about in that point in time. And we got the breakdown, right? Now we're simply looking for the lower high, which could set in anywhere around here. So anywhere around here, you're looking for the lower high in Bitcoin dominance. And this is the next metric that I'm looking for, right? Once Bitcoin dominance starts to break below some of these key lows over here, around this 53.83%, I know that we're in the end game, and this leg down can happen very, very, very quickly, because this is what we've seen previously. And that's where I'm going to be looking to scale a little bit out. So if you look at the altcoin season blueprint, this is essentially lining everything I've just shown to you up into one chart. The end of 2024 could mirror 2020's explosive altcoin rally. The difference over here is we don't have the stimmy checks that came to a lot of the first world countries during the COVID period, which was also largely responsible for driving prices up. But nevertheless, you know, the money printer could still turn on in some other shape or form, right? Quantitative easing coming back in. We're still waiting for that. But it looks like this, right? Bitcoin dominance broke down. ETH broke out of those all-time highs. Others broke out of those all-time highs. I just covered those charts for you. I just showed you the relationship between them and where we're currently situated. And now you can look at where we're currently at, right? We're right at the cusp of potentially breaking down that Bitcoin dominance, breaking out of the all-time highs on ETH, breaking out of the all-time highs as well on the others chart, right? So there's a lot to look at over there. And I do still have a couple more things that I want to share with you. So where are we cyclically, right? Well, I'll share that in a moment. Where are we cyclically? How far are we through the bull run? And timing factor wise, why am I going to start to get cautious on the next major pump based on all these things that I've shown you? Well, I'll share that with you in just a minute. First, I just want to let anyone know that is new here. If you are looking for a place to buy crypto, check out BitGet, right? Because currently they've just extended their offer. Now they've increased it, right, to $30,000, right? If you go to BitGet, you're getting up to $30,000 worth of sign-up bonuses. This is absolutely enormous. 30K is a huge, huge amount of money. But the better thing over there is for those of you who feel you'll never own one Bitcoin, it's got too expensive for you. Well, if you do sign up to BitGet, you can scroll down over here as well. You'll see there's a Win a Bitcoin competition. Guess the price of what Bitcoin will be in a couple of days' time, right? It's the closer we get to the end, the easier it is to guess. But sign up now because you can put in one guess per week. So you can put in this week, and you can put in next week and the week after that. And you're going to guess the closest guess to what Bitcoin is on the 1st of January on Coinbase will win themselves a full Bitcoin, right? So use the link below. Now let's go into the timing factors, right? Timing factors. Why do I think everything is fine still? Well, because the whole world's melting down, right? As you see the stock market come down, everybody is super stressed out. And this can give you a little bit more bullish hopium. It's the simple data, right? Looking back at these cycles, we are in the purple. There it is. There's the purple flashing on and off the screen. This is cycle 5. We're following most similar to what we saw in cycle 3 and 4. So there's cycle 4, 2021 cycle flashing on and off the screen. Here is cycle 3 flashing on and off the screen. That's your 2017 cycle. That was a mega bull run, right? Huge, huge, huge gains for the altcoins. Now, I'm looking again to, once we cross all those various different metrics, I'm expecting some sort of a major local top, right? And I think that could play out similar to what we saw in the prior cycles, possibly around 850 to 900 days from where the cycle bottom was. That's how we're measuring how far we are into the cycle. So currently, as you can see, as it stands right now, we are about 760 days into this crypto cycle. That means that you're about 60-ish%, 65% into the cycle. Now, I'll be looking to take a lot of the chips off the table during this time period before we lead into the final flush and dip. And again, I'll show you why I think that could be around March. This is just based on the cyclical data that we've had. And then you lead into the final run-up, right? And finish the cycle off. So remember, going back to the first chart that I gave over here, it would look like that, right? That's what you look at. This is a high time frame. It's a monthly chart over here. looking for a big move up, maybe you do something like that into January, maybe into February, March, something like that. And then you start to work your way down, set in the high low. And a lot of how I've based that off is based off of this, right? The prior cycle. So we'll go back to our cycle chart. We followed this to perfection. This helped us to basically time every single major correction and major low within those corrections. The most recent one that we absolutely nailed to perfection was this one over here, right? Where we had the high volume. This was your spring phase following a massive Wyckoff accumulation range that was forming. You shook everybody out. That was your spring phase. We said strong buying opportunity. That was your last higher low before leading into massive expansion. Remember, following an 8-month trading range, when you do break out of that, you expect rapid continuation. And we got that, right? We got that exact continuation. And we even nailed it in terms of the timing using these vertical lines running down the screen, right? Based on various different factors, some of which were cycles, right? We're looking at about 160 days post-halving is where things start to grind up. We're also looking at about day 680 to 685. We also saw around that time period is where things start to accelerate. We're also looking at the election, right? Leading into the election phase, and what typically happens following that election phase is a rapid increase in price. And then the perfection of all of this is we had that confirmation of the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, which we were in like phase C over here when we hit that spring phase, and we had the big shakeout on high volume. And then we led into the phase D to E, which was the markup phase, which we knew was going to lead to this. And we got it, right? Perfect, right? Everything worked out according to plan. So there it is. Prices went up from the breakout 46%. And now any little dip over here is absolutely scaring the hell out of people, because a lot of them only joined later. A lot of them are only buying over here, which means you're getting closer and closer to the entry. What I do want to remind you of, though, is you are still putting in high lows, right? You are putting in high lows. But if you do sweep this liquidity, yes, it can get bad. You can get a drop. Now, could I be wrong on the timing? Whereas I just told you I'm looking for somewhere around March. Absolutely. It could happen before then. And, you can't win them all. Maybe you get the dip before, the big macro dip comes down to $80,000, somewhere around there, puts in a high low, and then continues. At the end of the day, I won't lose any money since I entered way, way earlier. This is where you have to ask yourself the question is, where are your invalidation levels based on when you entered into the market? As the saying goes, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? You don't want to get wrecked. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. Now, if we follow out the timing cycles like this, I'm looking for a major local top within the market under the presumption that the stock market holds up now and we start to see continuation towards the upside. Things can get heated all the way up into day 800 or day 850, right? So I've labeled it over there already ahead of time, months before this. And I said 850 days since the cycle low. Be careful. That is where your prior cycles have started to stall out, right? So if we do get continuation, and I see all the metrics that I just outlined to you, YouTube views, high volume, increase in leverage over there, ETH breaking out about $5,000, ETH BTC breaking out of the falling wedge, lines up with the cyclical fashion of what we typically see within Ethereum. We see others in Total 3 take out their all-time highs. Bitcoin dominance is breaking below this 53.73% level, which is a key horizontal range. That is your mid-range level, and heading down towards the range low. These are all the metrics. These are all the factors. This is where I start to take some chips off the table, right? So I hope that helps. That's a little bit of a high time frame overview of what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking. We can get into the more nitty-gritty stuff. When it comes to Bitcoin and its trend, is the trend a threat? Have we seen the signs where everything's just going to melt down? Well, I guess the biggest fear is around the stock market, because Bitcoin trades as like a higher beta play against the stock market, meaning if the stock market goes up, we see crypto go up a whole lot more than the stock market. If the stock market comes down, it's full on risk off and crypto gets wrecked. So we really remain at the mercy of the stock market. That is true, right? We can't deny that. But with that being said, I guess also if you look back at the history of the stock market and you wiped out, what was the exact number again? I think $1.8 trillion, right? $1.8 trillion. How often has it been in the past where you wipe out $1.8 trillion to go on and wipe out another 1.8 and another 1.8 and another 1.8 over and over again, right? Versus what is the probability that you hit that 1.8 trillion wipeout and then you immediately reverse and bounce with massive buying? to tell you the truth, I don't know the answer because I haven't had the chance based off waking up this morning to go and get the data. But what I'll do is I'll try to find it for you and I'll bring it to you guys possibly in tomorrow's show. But based on what we see in the crypto markets as well, when we have these big liquidation flushes, oftentimes that marks a major low. It does mean that price can continue to range and it doesn't V-shape out of there. So the question is the Bitcoin trend in threat, right? Is it in danger over here? Well, according to our moving averages, which we're simply keeping it very easy, very simple. You heard the saying, keep it simple, stupid, to remove the noise. We're looking at the 5-day time frame. We have the 3 moving average, which is the yellow. We have the 9 moving average, which is the green. And we have the 30 moving average, which is the purple. And this governs how powerful the trend is. Now, yes, the 3 is starting to move a little bit sideways and does potentially have the chance of rolling over and dropping back into the green one over here, which is going to be support around 95K. So there will be support over here. If prices do drop, there will, of course, be support here for at least a bounce in the short term. As it currently stands, the answer is the trend is still intact. The trend is still strong. You have prices having wicked below that level, but closing back above. We do need to wait for the weekly close. Absolutely. If you do start to lose this 95K level, then you start to open up the possibility of going much, much, much lower, which just simply means that we're getting that reset that I'm planning for in March sooner. That's it, right? That's what it means. The reset that I'm hoping, I'm hoping we do something like this, chop about, maybe price rallies to like 135, and then you get the reset, right? Huge reset. It just means that maybe that would be coming sooner than anticipated. And again, that doesn't mean I lose any money. It just means that I can't play it as to perfection as I wanted. Perfection for me would be this, get into that zone over there. Let's just quickly move this up, hit that zone over there. Exit a huge amount of the chips off the table, go in for a long-term correction, and then make the decision for myself. Do I want to re-enter into the market again before the end of the cycle? Or am I just going to let my crypto businesses do well? If the answer is I do decide that I see an obvious high low, just like we did over here with that spring phase following a long-term range, then I have the optionality to enter in over here. Yes, then I enter for a potential quick double, triple, quadruple, or whatever it may be that I'm looking for, right? So that's kind of, I'm just trying to outline my higher time frame thinking, the way that I'm approaching the market right now. I really hope that does help all of you. Let's continue on with Bitcoin, right? Bearish divergence, of course. Now, in order to, negate that, and say that that was the dip, it's over, we do need to get back above, of course, the breakdown level, which was yesterday's candle, which is a big ask, 106,172. One of your better case scenarios is to rather expect that a trading range forms over here, so that you have some sort of a trading range. Maybe you chop about into the end of the year. We did speak about how over the December period, you can expect that the volume is going to drop a bit, right? There is going to be a drop in volume. And when there's a drop in volume, it makes for easily manipulated markets. So watch for a potential ranging market. Get above the yellow line, 105,505, and your RSI trends back towards the upside and bulls take back control. Right now, it's kind of neutral. I wouldn't say bears are in control. I would say bulls are marginally in control, but it's more neutral. Think of it like a tug of war, right? Two teams pulling against each other. You have a deadlock in the middle, and that creates a ranging market. So I'm watching that over there. Here is your really lower time frame trend. Just simply focusing on the uptrend over here. You can see price wicked perfectly into that. It also closed above the previous month's high, which is a decent sign. And you got the rejection of the top side, right? This has been essentially your parallel channel, right? You got your low, you got your high low, or high high, high low, another high high, high low, holds that level, high low, high high, and you've hit that level. So the question is, will this continue, right? We'll keep an eye out on this parallel channel to see, does it start to lose this level? If it does start to break below and lose the previous month's high, then we have to look for low prices. And as mentioned, those targets are going to be over here, right? Firstly, $90,000 or $95,000, first area of interest. And then after that, I'm going to be looking down to this zone. This is taking your fib from the low to the high over here, and we're looking towards that 0.382 as well as the 0.5 level. So pricing, that's going to be $78,000 on the low side, $85,000 on the high side, right? That's what I'm looking at over there. So again, is your altcoin season canceled? Well, you can look at what happened in the price cycles. We do need to see some sort of a loose monetary policy shift very, very soon in order to confirm this breakdown of Bitcoin dominance, in order to confirm the breakout of ETH/USD and the breakout of others. And if we do see that, then your alt season is on, right? So we can have a look at a couple of the other things as well. Just very, very quickly over here, your deltas have gone even more negative. I couldn't believe that they could go any more negative than yesterday, but they did. So we're still keeping an eye out on this as you come into key supports on a lot of the altcoins. This is probably one of the most important charts to be watching. All of you should have this chart on and keep an eye out on it, right? And this is the USDT dominance, because the USDT dominance has actually timed every single major top within the crypto market, right? So here's your trend line. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger for you to see, but we are setting in lower highs. We haven't got lower lows yet. We essentially put in a high low on this end on the 4-hour time frame, but we are putting in lower highs, which is at least the first good sign. Now, you definitely do not want to see this spike back up, right? If this spikes back up and gets above the resistance line over here, you can consider this a major deviation. On the daily time frame, it would look like this, a major deviation back into this massive upsloping trend line. And if you do get this massive deviation back into the upsloping trend line, there it is. These verticals, which is where it bounced off of that trend line, timed every single cycle top. So this is a 7-year-long trend line, the yellow lines over there, and we want to break that down. We want to reject from this, and we want to see it drop. If we do see that drop, then simultaneously you should get the Bitcoin dominance drop, ETH/USD breakout, others breakout as well, which essentially marks your altcoin season, right? So it could still be a shakeout. We could still be in that shakeout environment for the market. We have to play really close attention at the current levels, right? So funding obviously fully reset. Plenty of leverage traders wiped. Let's just refresh this and have a look at the, you can see the long to short ratio. You're sitting at about 51.43% short versus 48.57, which are currently long in the market. Okay. And we can have a look at a bunch of the charts as well. We can look at some of the alts, just quickly looking at Solana, right? This is support, right? This is your support level. Oftentimes when you break these downsloping trend lines, you could come as low as revisiting that level, which for Solana would be about $180. Set in your high low and then have continuation. So remember, you buy support and you sell resistance. This is theoretically support. If you go to Ethereum, you buy support and you sell resistance. Well, this one's interesting because you at low time frame support with the downsloping trend line, but you also at resistance, right? So that creates an interesting dynamic where you could create an order block over here, chop about, and then later lead to a big breakout. If you want to play it safe, what you can do is you can always just wait for Ethereum to close its first high time frame candle, like a 3-day candle above $4,000. If we can close the 3-day candle above $4,000, chances are you have your confirmation of the breakout and Ethereum is going to start to head higher, right? And remember, that's one of the criteria that we're looking at. That means sooner or later, you're going to take out those highs around $5,000. So let's look at some of the stronger coins like Sui as well. Sui is still holding up over there, not looking bad. There's tons of strong coins, and you can see how quickly they rebound, right? If you look at Mantra, that's another strong coin holding up over there. No worries over there. Everything is holding up perfectly fine. I do want to remind you as well, before we go into the rest of the altcoins, guys, that remember, we are going on vacation very, very soon. This is not because I need a rest. It's because our team that helped to drive these streams, create the thumbnails, upload things, run all the back ends, they of course need a rest. They need a rest. And because they need to take a rest, won't be doing any streaming. So remember, if you do want to stay in touch, there's a link in the description below which qualifies you for a bonus, a sign-up discount over here on the Whale Room. I will be in the Whale Room. Our traders are crushing it over there. Still, despite the market that we're in, they're doing very, very well, making a lot of profit. So there is a link below. I don't know if there's any more spots available. You can just try it out. There's a 35% coupon, 35% off if you do want to join. And I also want to warn you, when after tomorrow, we are going to be closing off the Whale Room, right? So if you want to stay in touch in terms of market analysis and updates, I'll be doing those throughout the vacation period. And all of that is listed below for the Whale Room. So use the link below. We've been crushing it over there. One of the trades that I have to talk about is Goku, right? We dropped this at about a $1 million market cap. You're up 20x in this market, guys, 20x, breaking out to new all-time highs yet again, the resilience and the power and the strength behind this token is absolutely unbelievable. I'm very, very, very bullish this token. I think if ETH breaks out over here, if Solana sets in a high low and starts to break out, and we actually put in this altcoin season, I just can't wait to see what this Goku token is going to do. This is absolutely incredible, right? At $20 million market cap. Unreal, unreal, unreal. So if you guys do want to check out more of that, I recommend go check out their socials. If you want to see the reasons that I'm bullish on it, I think they've actually outlined a whole lot of those points of there. I think that this is an easy emoji in terms of free marketing that people naturally share, right? When you're in that peak euphoric state within the crypto markets and everything's breaking out, everybody shares the super saiyan, right? The super saiyan, the energy, that feeling that you get. It's absolutely awesome. All right, let's look at Sol BTC, since this is one of my larger positions, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys. We're looking for the money flow to start to roll over here and start to turn the corner. We have got the green triangle over there, the first signs of a potential bounce incoming. You're right here at your range lows. So we need to see what happens, right? I fully expect that you will see a big spike up over here. And then that's where the decision making comes into play. What happens after that spike up, right? Are you just going to set in a lower high and are you going to roll over? Or are you going to smash through this, hold this as support, and then continue your climb on Sol BTC, right? We always want to outperform Bitcoin. Very, very important. The aim of the game over here is to not just make US dollars, but also to make Bitcoin, right? Very, very, very important. So looking decent over there on the Sol BTC chart. What else should we have a look at? We can have a look at some of the memes just very, very quickly. Let's actually have a look. I haven't looked at this until right now, but let's see high time frames. What does 𝗕𝗘𝗘 look like over here? Okay, so you got the perfect back test. I spoke about, people that are looking to gain exposure over here. Your best bet is to scale into the trade in a pyramid-like approach. What is a pyramid-like approach? A pyramid approach means you're doing the opposite of what Michael Saylor is doing. Michael Saylor is pyramiding in, but in this direction, right? And I understand, people mostly want to give money when prices go higher up, but it creates a very risky situation. So Michael Saylor buys small amounts of Bitcoin at the bottom, and then as the market moves up higher and higher, he buys more and more Bitcoin, right? This is an upside down pyramid, and this can get you wrecked because all it means is if price rolls over even so slightly, your average buys are essentially over here then, and price rolls over just a little bit, and now suddenly in a massive loss. So we like to do it the opposite way around, which is pyramiding into positions like this. On 𝗕𝗘𝗘, you've essentially received a perfect back test into the prior breakout level. You can see over there, you have your resistance and now your support and your support. You back test into that. So I spoke about this ahead of time saying, if you do want to build a position over here, look to scale in bit by bit by bit, and you get bigger as it gets towards the bottom. And you can see on the weekly scale, you are getting that bounce, right? You're already showing signs of strength over there. So let's see if it can continue to hold that. That's one thing that we're looking at. Let's see how WIF is looking. Okay, WIF has come back into support over here. So I was taken out of my position, once you started to hold underneath this level over here at the yellow line at 291. That was essentially, bail out. And now this is your attempted re-entry zone over here, which is, of course, a macro high-low on WIF, right? So you're looking for some signs of strength over there. You don't need to buy immediately. You can just kind of wait to see, are you setting in a bit of a high-low? Zoom in, look on the lower time frames in order to see that. Let's have a look at Brett. So Brett needs to reclaim, right? Very, very important. This is your breakout level. You need to reclaim back into that level, set in those high lows now, and then continue. Otherwise, you do risk coming down, right? That means that then theoretically, Brett could make it down as low as about 10 cents, which is still way above our entry, right? We got in much, much earlier on Brett. So I'm currently still holding the position. Let's see 𝗙𝗡𝗏. So 𝗙𝗡𝗏 definitely lost a very big level, right? That was an important zone. You definitely wanted to see 𝗙𝗏𝗏 hold that level. Let's quickly line up our fib and just see the overall zone over here. So as you can see, it didn't hold the 50% level. You've come to the 0.7. You're finding a bit of support over there. But 𝗙𝗏𝗏, you'll definitely want to see a reversal soon from here. You should at the very least get a bounce, and then anyone that was entering into the key support over here, if it starts to hold that as resistance, you have the opportunity to exit, and then maybe it goes low again. So that is 𝗙𝗏𝗏. 𝗙𝗏𝗏 definitely not one of the best looking ones. We have, let's just go back onto the weekly scales over here. So we have Bonk. There's bonk also losing the range high. You want to see an immediate deviation, reclaim that range high, which is the white line. Failure to do that, means you have to open up, possibly going all the way back down to the range low, which is a full retrace. You wouldn't want to see that. That's going to be looking really, really bad. Other big memes to look at. Let's see, what else have we got over here? So we did Pepe, we did bonk. Okay, anything else worthwhile? Mog. Let's have a look at Mog. So there's Mog. Throwback into support. This is your breakout level. So you back tested that breakout level. Same story. All critical zones that you want to see hold. Failure to hold those zones means you have to open up low prices. I'm not going to go into the detail of exactly where right now. One thing we can do is that we can just quickly pull the fib on the overall move that we've had. So there it is. Let's just quickly see in relation to the 50%. Okay, you are caught exactly at that 50%, right? So from low to high. Let's just quickly put that back in, make it a little bit more precise. Okay, low to high, there's your exact level. You have wicked into that. So 2373 are the last couple of digits. Holding that level, you want to see a reversal from this point, right? You definitely want to see a reversal from here. Let me know in the comments if there's any other ones that you specifically want to have a look at. I'm checking the chat over there. How's Near doing? Near caught at mid-range on the weekly. How's AVAX? Okay, AVAX back down to mid-range support. You want to see this immediately get back above that downsloping trend line. Atom, how's Atom doing? Atom coming back down to 643 is probably going to be a bit of a buy zone. Matic also back down into the bottom of the range. So all of these coins, you want to see them essentially creating a little bit of a higher low, holding this level over here, and then you can start to scale into some trades. Okay, Phantom, how's Phantom doing? Okay, also you want to reclaim as soon as possible 122, right? If you can't get above 122, this could eventually be a deviation, at which point, if it is a deviation, my target becomes mid-range, which is about 83 to 84 cents, specifically on Phantom. Okay, Ton lost the mid-range, coming to range low. What about Casper? How's Casper doing? Lost the mid-range, therefore you can target down to range low, or you can get long if it reclaims 14.4, right? Range low on Casper is going to be 10.3, right? 10.3 is the zone. Okay, maybe there's Cardano holders over here. Let's look at Cardano. Breaks back above. I'd be targeting 78 cents, right? So expect this could come back down into 78 cents for Cardano. You're looking percentage-wise. There you go, at about almost 20% still down. So it can still get ugly on some of the coins. Do be careful over there. Let's see Hype on the daily. Hype has been obviously one that's got a lot of momentum and attention. It's a little bit of a dangerous one. Let's look on the lower time frames over there. I don't know. I know FDV wise, the fully diluted valuation is sky high on this. So, I'd probably stay away from it. But technical analysis wise, it's one of the first ones to show signs of strength out of here. So, chances are that Hype does probably puts in a high low V, and you do probably see continuation, right? So you got your low, got your high, you probably put in your high low, and you probably see this continue to run, to be fair. But this is more trade, not a longer term swing trade or investment, because the FDV is very, very, very high. Although I am somebody that subscribes to the fact that in a raging bull markets, FDVs to an extent do go out of the window, right? Okay, let's see anything else over here. Let's just see real world assets. Okay, this is Shintai looking good. Mantra, we said, looking good. Let's see 𝗕𝗎𝗄 as well. 𝗕𝗎𝗄 still looking fine. It's obviously had a big move and needs to consolidate a little bit, form a bit of a trading range. Let's see quickly in terms of the AI as well. This is one that I recently started to build a position in. This is 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏. Okay, so obviously formed a strong trading range. Here it is. There it is, strong trading range over there, looking decent. If you do happen to get a move back into the top of the range, where we saw a wick there a couple of days ago, so if today you drop a little bit further, 28 cents, I think not a bad zone. So you're looking for something like this on a lot of the coins, right? You're looking for essentially something like this, form those macro high lows, and then run it. If they do hold below, if they break down and hold below here, then we're in more trouble. That means USDT dominance is probably breaking back up again and causing havoc for the entire crypto market. All right, we did Brett. I see Moni asking for Brett. We did do Brett already. What else have we got, guys? Okay, let me check the gaming sector quickly. How's gaming doing? I'm just going to do a quick scroll through. Let's see. Okay, let's go on. Okay, daily is fine. Daily is fine. Let's see Prime. Okay, how's Prime doing? Okay, so still potential trend reversal. You are putting in high highs and high lows. You're coming back into a pretty key support area. This is all major support, right? So everything over here is going to be major support. If you get any pullback into $10.58, that's probably a good zone. Remember, when it comes to gaming, you don't have to build this massive portfolio. Just choose like 2 or 3 of the winners. I think Prime Super has been one of the other winners. So Super, if it comes back down into this level, 140, that can be a decent zone. Other ones that I'm looking at, I have Winner as well. Winner is something else I've added into my portfolio recently. Let's just see over here. Okay, so major support, there it is, right? That's your SR flip. If you get Winner back down, but this could be the high low already. That could be the high low. And if the market starts to turn, you could see Winner jumping from this point as well. All right. Remember, guys, keep track of your portfolios, right? At this particular point in time, you need to see when things are doing well. You need to see when things are dumping as well. I do want to remind you, we are partnered with CoinStats. It's probably one of my favorite partnerships. They have it on mobile as well, right? So just to show you what the mobile device looks like, because I mostly show the desktop version of my actual portfolio to you guys, but this is what the mobile version looks like. You can trade this as well on your phone. You can log all of your trades. Everything is there. They do have a sign-up bonus specifically with the savings for you guys as the Crypto Banter fam. Just go through to, where is it exactly? Look for CoinStats. Where's CoinStats over here? 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗘𝗑, CoinW, Blowfin. I think we have it in here. It was there somewhere. We'll put it back. If it's not in there, we'll put it back. CoinStats should be in here. Anything else? What else? Discord. Remember, Discord. Jump in over there. You guys can catch me there over the holiday time period. Let's leave it at that. It's been a long show. Thank you very, very much for all watching. Stay tuned. Join me tomorrow. Jump into Whale Room if you do want the rest of the alpha, of course, over the holiday period. It's going to be one of the only ways I can stay in tune with you guys and upload videos and things like that, because the YouTube team are taking a break. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and the rest of you in Whale Room. Have a great day and cheers for now.